Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sleep and Learn English from Stories. Tonight, I invite you to settle in, take a deep breath, and let the outside world fade away. We have a special story for you, one designed to help you relax, unwind, and drift off into a peaceful sleep. As you listen, allow the words and the gentle rhythm of the narrative to wash over you. Don't worry about catching every single word. Simply let the language flow, helping you learn English naturally as you rest. Our story tonight is called The Soft Sound of Evening Rain. Let's begin. In the small, quiet town of Meadow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, lived a librarian named Alara. Her home was a cozy cottage at the edge of town with a garden full of wildflowers and a porch swing that had been her grandfather's. Alara loved many things: the smell of old books, the warmth of a fresh cup of tea, the first bloom of spring. But most of all, she loved the rain. One Tuesday evening, the sky began to turn a deep, bruised purple. The air grew still and heavy, carrying the scent of damp earth and approaching water. Alara was in her living room, a half-finished crossword puzzle resting on her lap. She smiled as she heard the first soft patter of a raindrop against the window pane. Then another and another, until it became a gentle, steady rhythm. The soft sound of evening rain had begun. She set her puzzle aside and walked to the large window overlooking her garden. The raindrops danced on the petals of the roses and the leaves of the great oak tree. Each drop was a tiny note in a grand, calming symphony. The world outside was being cleansed, washed in shades of gray and silver. Inside, the cottage felt even warmer, a safe haven from the cool, wet world. Alara decided to make some chamomile tea. In the kitchen, the sound of the rain was a comforting murmur. She filled the kettle with fresh water and placed it on the stove. While she waited for it to boil, she watched the rain create tiny, spreading circles in the puddles forming on the garden path. It was a simple, beautiful sight. The world seemed to slow down, to breathe in time with the falling rain. With a warm mug in her hands, its heat seeping into her palms, she returned to the living room. She didn't turn on the lights. Instead, she let the dim twilight and the soft glow from a single lamp fill the room. She curled up in her favorite armchair, a soft wool blanket draped over her legs. The steam from her tea rose in a gentle spiral, carrying the sweet scent of chamomile and honey. The rain was a little heavier now, but it was still a soothing sound, a constant and reliable presence. It drummed softly on the roof, a lullaby played by nature itself. Alara closed her eyes just for a moment and focused on the sound. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. It was a sound that spoke of renewal and peace. It reminded her that after every long, busy day, there is a time for rest, a time for quiet. Her cat, a fluffy ginger named Marmalade, padded into the room. He let out a small meow and then leaped gracefully onto her lap, curling into a tight, purring ball. Alara stroked his soft fur, her fingers moving in a slow, rhythmic motion. Marmalade's purr joined the sound of the rain, creating a perfect harmony of comfort and contentment. Alara thought about her day at the library. It had been busy. So many people coming and going, so many books being checked out and returned. She had helped a young student find research for a history project, recommended a new fantasy novel to a teenager, and read a story about a brave little bear to a group of wide-eyed children. It was a good day, a full day. But now it was over. Now was the time for stillness. The rain seemed to wash away the leftover stress of the day. Each drop that hit the roof or the ground seemed to carry away a small piece of her tiredness. She wasn't thinking about tomorrow's to-do list or the emails she needed to answer. She was just there, in that moment, surrounded by the simple, beautiful things that made her life feel whole. A warm home, a purring cat, a good cup of tea, and the soft sound of the evening rain. She opened a book that she had brought home from the library, a collection of poems about nature. She didn't need a bright light to read. The gentle lamplight was enough. She read a poem about a river, its words flowing as smoothly as the water it described. Then she read one about the moon, a silent observer in the night sky. The words were quiet, just like the evening. Outside, the wind picked up slightly, making the branches of the oak tree sway. The rain whispered through its leaves, a sound like 1,000 tiny voices sharing secrets. Alara listened. She imagined what the trees might be saying to each other, what stories the wind was carrying on its journey. Her imagination drifted, floating on the sounds of the night. The crossword puzzle lay forgotten. The television remained silent. The only sounds were the ones that brought peace: the rain, the purring cat, the quiet turning of a page. This was Alara's favorite kind of evening. It wasn't exciting or grand. It was simple, and in its simplicity, it was perfect. As the evening grew later, the rain began to soften again. The heavy drumming on the roof became a gentle tap-tap-tapping once more. The world outside was growing quieter, preparing for the deep sleep of night. Alara felt a wave of drowsiness wash over her. Her eyelids felt heavy. The book rested in her lap, her finger marking her place. Marmalade was fast asleep, his purring now a low, contented rumble. The tea in her mug was cool. The rain was now just a whisper, a final, soft good night. Alara looked out the window one last time. The clouds had parted just enough for a sliver of the moon to peek through, its silvery light reflecting on the wet leaves. It was beautiful. She slowly stood up, careful not to wake Marmalade. She placed him gently on the armchair, where he stretched and then curled back into a ball. She turned off the lamp, and the room was filled with near darkness, lit only by the faint moonlight outside. She walked to her bedroom, the floorboards creaking softly under her feet. Her bed looked inviting, with its soft pillows and warm quilt. As she lay down and pulled the covers up to her chin, she could still hear the very faint sound of the last few raindrops. It was the most peaceful sound in the world. She closed her eyes, and her mind was clear. There were no worries, no racing thoughts. There was only the memory of the rain, the feeling of warmth, and a deep sense of calm. The story of the rain had come to an end, and now her own time for rest had begun. And as the last raindrop fell, Alara drifted off into a deep and peaceful sleep, dreaming of quiet gardens and the soft, gentle sound of evening rain. Thank you for joining me for tonight's story. I hope it has brought you a sense of calm and is helping you drift off to sleep. We believe in the power of stories to relax the mind and help you learn English in a gentle, natural way. If you enjoyed our time together, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Sleep and Learn English from Stories. It helps our community grow. We will be back soon with another relaxing story for you. Until then, sleep well and have the sweetest of dreams. Good night.